We're told we're not taking sides. I'm here to take sides. Mladic is a war criminal, the leader of the Bosnian Serbs. He is no better than Himmler. He is no better than Goebbels. He is a war criminal.
I was suggesting we bomb Belgrade.
What's so important about the Western Alliance? NATO for NATO's sake, so we can beat our press? What I'm about to say is going to cause me great difficulty if I'm reelected and come back here as the ranking member or chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. There is no moral center in Europe.
I was suggesting that we send American pilots in and blow up all the bridges on the Drina.
When in the last 2 centuries have the French, or the British, or the Germans, the Belgians, the Italians?
I was suggesting we take out his oil supply.
Moved in a way to unify that continent, to stand up to this kind of genocide. When have they done this?
I was suggesting very specific action.
The only reason anything is happening now is because the United States of America finally is understanding her role. The 21st century is going to be the American century. Because we never bow, we never bend, we never break. We are America, second to none, and we own the finish line. Don't forget it.
Don't you dare forget it, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? Welcome. Today is the date of April 22nd of 2026. I unfortunately just woke up like 10 minutes ago, so you're getting half asleep, Cade. Get excited for that. But we have a lot of news to talk about, whether it be Kash Patel slipping and sinking because of his alcoholic tendencies, whether it be the taco that Donald Trump displayed yesterday. We have a lot to get into. I apologize for not being live yesterday. Yesterday I wanted to take a day and just kind of relax, and you know, luckily I have such an amazing community that I think I can do that once in a while. So anyways, perfect timing. Kalinda just ended. Well, hey, shout out to Kalinda. We love Kalinda. Amazing YouTuber. Really is. But, anyways, guys. How are we doing today? I hope we're doing well. I really hope we're doing well. You know, I'm well rested. I've definitely got the buff. Honestly, I think I'm so well rested I might have the debuff, which we don't like to see. We don't like to have the debuff personally here. Not something we're a fan of, but that's all right. We'll keep calm and carry on. Could you imagine somebody calls me and tries to debate me when I'm in this state? I think it'd be over for them. I'd be entering that, Drunk Master? What's the name? What? There's this one character. Drunken Fist. There we go. I'm basically the master of the Drunken Fist technique. I think that's a pretty powerful moveset, honestly. You guys remember in Mortal Kombat, right? Mortal Kombat, they have this fat character that is a master martial artist, but his whole joke is that he drinks and burps and farts. What's it? I think his name starts with a B. Bo Raichi? That's hitting some nerves here. Let's look at, not nerves, but Drunken Fist Master Mortal Kombat. I guarantee it starts with a B. Bo Raicho. There we go. Picked the perfect day to take off. I was busy. Well, hell yeah. Bo Right Show. Dude, this guy used to fart on people, and that would be his fatality. We like Bo. This is the version of Bo Right Show we all know and love. There we go. There he is. You know, fuck Mortal Kombat 9, 1, whatever. This is the version that we love. I believe that was from Armageddon. This man, Taven. Shout out. He was supposed to be the next big guy in Mortal Kombat, and he just turned out to be a small blip. Taven. Anyways, this isn't the Mortal Kombat episode. This is making fun of Kash Patel because he's a drunkard episode. The reason I bring Bo Raicho up is that maybe FBI Director Kash Patel, maybe he was taking a few moves off of Bo Raicho's playbook. Never know, you never know. By the way, in Minecraft, guys, I have been absolutely crafting and mining. It's pretty ridiculous how much I've been crafting and mining. We're slowly building a giant meteor that all of our boss fights will take place in. So that's just the beginning. That's just the beginning.
Over $3 million.
Of the many things I've done.
Furthermore, our investigation revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center, on top of perpetuating this widespread...
So this is some... I accidentally voted no. That's all right. That's all right. Many people have accidentally voted for Cash before, so I wouldn't hold it against yourself.
...long, multi-million-dollar fraud conducted more criminal activity. They attempted to hide.
All right, I'm just warning, guys. The funny synapses are firing on all cylinders right now. I don't know why, but the funny cylinders are firing on all aspects right now. I've had a couple banger memes just now. I won't lie. So, you know, while I may be a little sleepy, I'm at the very least a little funny, and that's what matters.
Their criminal activity from our financial banking network. They set up shell companies.
Yeah, by the way, this whole fucking indictment is ridiculous, dude. I can tell you the issues with it just right off the bat. Because I'll let it continue, but I think you guys are pretty smart people and will be able to tell why this indictment is bullshit.
And entities around America so that the financial institutions that we rely on as everyday Americans were deceived in believing that money was not coming from the Southern Poverty Law Center in the perpetration of this scheme and fraud, but rather fictitious entities they stood up to perpetuate this ongoing fraud. This is a serious and egregious violation of a group that purported to dismantle violent extremist groups, but in turn actually only fueled the hatred. This is an important case brought by President Trump's administration. We're thankful to the president for his leadership and funding of not just the FBI and DOJ, but his commitment to go out there and wipe out fraud and conspiracy and waste and abuse wherever it occurs, including the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Drunken loser. So here's my theory: the Southern Poverty Law Center caught on to how much of him was being I don't know. The reason for this is definitely because of Trump's first term. A lot of personal animus going on with Southern Poverty Law Center in his first term, so that's probably why you guys haven't heard about it recently, is because it's really a Trump first term exclusive.
Even though this money was made to appear to be coming from legitimate people and legitimate entities, we at the FBI, with our great partners at the Department of Justice and in the state of Alabama, were able to comb through a decade worth of material, a scheme that took a decade to build, so that we were able to follow the money, because money
Follow the money.
never lies.
Money never lies. So fucking cringy, bro. We were told to follow the money because money never lies. Where do you guys think he got that one from? You know, we know our boy Pete Hagee. He's quoting some very interesting lines from Pulp Fiction. What do you think he got this line from? Money never lies, ladies and gentlemen. It really does sound like he's trying to be like this fucking cool, like, PI. You guys know what I mean? Yeah, it was just me, Kash Patel. Late on the docks one night. I was getting some hints that the Southern Poverty Law Center was up to no good, stealing the cheddar from the American people. So I decided to take a look down. That's how he sounds. But not nearly as cool as I just said, or as I just displayed. A lot more loser-like. More like, another Southern Poverty Law Center. They thought they could get away. But little did they know, the money never lies.
And they got caught. As the Attorney General said,
And they
these
got
charges-
caught. Everybody says, Cash, you need to stop drinking so much. Cash, you need to stop. Well, my boy Cash doesn't stop, guys. There's a reason he's been able to catch the Southern Poverty Law Center doing such heinous crimes. I got to tell you, it doesn't have anything to do with the human mind. It's got to do with the human stomach and nose, potentially. Definitely the nose.
Are varying. They are widespread and wide-ranging, and this investigation is very much ongoing. Today, we're here to announce the charges of the Southern Poverty Law Center, and this investigation and the individuals who are responsible will be brought to justice.
I mean, the Southern Poverty Law Center, they had to know this was coming, you know, fighting racism and fascism and extremist groups in this year of our Lord. I don't think so, Bubs. I don't think so. Yeah, maybe when it was woke Biden, but not here, buddy. Not here. We don't fight racism here, okay? We encourage it. And I'm pretending to be Kash Patel. Just wanna, in case anybody was wondering, hey, why does this guy support racism? I'm doing a little thing called dramatic interpretation, okay? You may not know about it, but it's a force in my culture. Okay. Sorry, I'm just waking up as well, guys. So, me and Cash are probably on similar cylinders firing right now. We've got the same kind of basic functions happening. So I wonder how that, you know, maybe that'll humanize him for me. Maybe I'll say, oh no, Cash. I don't even know what I was just talking about. I saw Bill's message. God damn, I really am. We're really slizzard right now until our
Justice. Thank you,
medication
General.
takes effect.
Thank you, Director Patel.
Thank you, Director Patel. So now we've got Todd Blanche, who you know, number one disappointing man. And I just mean in general, like, I don't think his wife is very pleased with him. You know what I'm saying, guys? He's just a disappointing man. So we've got number one disappointment out here to basically run defense for the person under his direct leadership, Kash Patel. And these are some pretty funny interactions. I won't lie to you guys and say they're not.
With any questions?
I'd like to know
Why doesn't Kash Patel answer the questions, sir? He's a big grown-up boy. He can do that. Why is it you who gets to answer these questions for him? Why not Kashi? Why not our boy K Money? Represent! Fucking smashing some brewskis during the National Hockey League, bro. That's just what we do out here in the quads. Damn, I'm leaning way too in. You know, it's I'm glad these streams aren't seen by the general public. You know what I'm saying? We're a little bit more loosey-goosey out here, guys. What can I say? What can I say? Anyways.
why individual people are not mentioned in this indictment. Is that something that's going to come down the pike? Is this just an indictment of the entity? Can you kind of
It's basically just to say we're really upset at them. We're pretty mad at Southern Poverty Law Center. They're gonna have the day in court, so I'm not gonna say anything about that, but what I will say is that they are big, dumb, stupid poopy heads. That's what I will say. If you guys didn't get that joke, because comedy is always funny when you explain the joke. So the joke was, he's a child. That's the joke. And, I think that's pretty funny, don't you? I think that's pretty funny.
explain, could people face charges here, or is this the indictment and you're done?
So, yes, I mean, as we said, the indictment, this investigation is very much ongoing. And today, the grand jury returned an indictment against only one entity, the Southern Poverty Law Center.
Yep. There it is again. You know, they're being real heroes. Speak the name of the devil and they shall appear. You know, they're taking real risks right here. We all know the Southern Poverty Law Center, you know, we know they're, how evil and destitute they are, so we're kind of immune to it, but yeah, I feel bad for those reporters having to take basically psychic damage right now. That's hard-hitting commentary I have subscribed to. Well, there we go. Yeah, that's the hard-hitting commentary I've subscribed to. You're damn right. You're damn right, friend. Dude, I've been having some really weird dreams, guys. I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not a fan of them, okay? Some of them are fun, haha, but others I'm not a fan of, so I'm just gonna be frank with you guys. Cash will get to the bottom who got him drunk. Exactly, dude. He will find out who told people he was drinking peach schnapps. Who really cares? Email, I think you care. I think you care about the Southern Poverty Law Center. Blanche, aka the most boring, was to cook Boring was to cook vegetables. I mean, he is extremely boring. How are you streaming in 0.75 speed? Yeah, that's a great question, honestly. I just woke up, so that's it unfortunately doesn't unlock to 1.0 until I'm fully awake.
And
Just how things
we'll
happen.
go from there. But as you'll see from the indictment itself, it should be obvious from the indictment that the investigation.
Bro, who is he? Who did he shake his head at? Why did he go, mm-hmm? What a weirdo. Kash Patel, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Such a fucking oddball.
Is ongoing.
I just want to make sure I understand. You're alleging that the Southern Poverty Law Center was paying the leaders of KKK and other groups to continue their operations? Is that?
I'm not alleging it. The grand jury returned an indictment that says that. And so what the investigation found, according to the indictment that was returned today, is that they were paying. So the Southern Poverty Law Center is raising money, asking folks to give them money to dismantle racism. And over a very long period of time, they were using some of the money they raised from donors to pay to, they called them field, basically to informants.
Oh, so that's like really badass and exactly what the Southern Poverty Law Center does. So they were doing what they believe in? That's interesting.
For information, for access, to just pay them for certain to do certain things. And
how
so,
dare
yes,
they
that's
do
exactly
these
what the indictment charges.
crimes?
I was wondering if this is going to expand perhaps to more groups. Perhaps there's been a lot of accusations about particular groups like the Patriot Front that get a lot of traction.
Yeah,
And
informants,
more
literal
so, is
informants.
the government, or is this indictment,
This is so stupid.
I should say,
Just,
making
it's
the case that
obvious
some of
to
these
you guys,
matters
but this
where
is
they've
so
tried
stupid. Oh, and this is the new armor we're
at
about
great
to
lengths
get.
to
but
sort of make
first I gotta
connections
really
to
refine it.
people on the right Charlottesville was very much associated by the media with being sort of like
It's interesting that they are going after even something as minor as this, but haven't gotten any of the people Nick Shirley supposedly exposed. Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it, Bill?
part of a right-wing kind of thing, they're like good people on both sides type of thing. I mean, are we seeing a sort of the Southern Poverty Law Center was trying to create narratives using these types of groups to shape American public opinion?
Look, I think what the Southern Poverty Law Center has said over the years is available for the world to see. It's on their website. It's in other forums. The indictment speaks
How
for itself.
dare
I'm not
they
gonna
be
talk
against
outside the four
racism.
corners of the indictment. It
How
lays out
dare
what
they.
the grand jury found.
This really does read like a how dare they fight against
and
racism.
obviously, there's a whole body of public
Those
information
evil
around what the
bastards.
Southern Poverty Law Center has done over the past, several decades.
I mean, in some of these instances, these are groups that have been either their membership has been dismantled
What's up,
or they've
Aeon?
definitely
Good
fallen
to
out of
see
public
you.
view. I'm just wondering the legal theory of how, these payments allegedly went on to actually benefit the groups. Did you see the money go to the groups themselves rather than just the individuals who were paid informants, essentially? And then I have an off-topic after.
So look, I want to be careful to keep any comments that we make inside the indictment. And so what the indictment lays out is payments to individuals who had leadership positions within these organizations. If that's what the grand jury.
Whoa, like informants? Like kind of like high-level informants or something like that? Whoa, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy right there. You're telling me. Now, you've just blown my mind, bro. How did you do that? It's almost like this is something that has been established for years. What was that question? The media linked to the right, Charlottesville. It was called the Unite the Right. Well, Todd Blanche actually fails to even take a dub there. Here.
Jury found. And so to the extent that those individuals receiving, one received over $1 million, okay, to the extent over several years, to the extent that there's any link between that individual receiving the
Whoa,
money.
the leader to the Proud Boys was an FBI informant? Sounds like the FBI is engaging in fraud. How can we allow this? The FBI is engaging in fraud, guys. We got to get on top of that. Yup, it's over. FBI engaging in fraud, by the way. We've got a big, giant rock that's gonna look like it's crashing down soon. Very proud of it. But you guys only get a little bit of a view of it while we discuss politics. 'Cause I'm selfish and I'm mean. And I hoard all the beauty in which I create for myself. Sorry, I'm trying to do what Cash and Pete do. A little bit of slam poetry. How'd you guys like it? Did you guys like it? That's called No One Else Is Allowed to See My Minecraft World Except for Me. Haha. It'll be coming out at some point. I don't know when, but it'll be out someday. So watch out.
Money and benefits to that organization. That's not in the indictment, but because again, it's not that individual who's charged with a crime. It's that individual was a informant
deep.
or what
Thank
have you.
I appreciate it. I thought so too, you know? I was really thinking about how I could make this, how I could get people to relate to it, and I think I found a pretty good medium. Alright, we gotta get all this shit. Excuse me? I just remembered Trump is still president. Can you quit crying about it? Ricky, can you stop soying out? Listen, tell you what, I'll stop crying about Trump when you stop soying out about Trump. And I don't think you're capable of doing that, so... I get to be as big of a big baby as I want to be, man. And you can't do nothing about it. Except seethe and cothe. Seethe and cothe. Jesus, this is why we shouldn't be streaming at, when we just wake up. Seep and cope. Seep and cope. Oh my goodness, man. Alright, just play the fucking video. Wow, and then it's not even going to play the video.
And it's Southern Poverty Law Center that made those payments to the individual, but it wasn't, you know, look.
Yeah, what's up, Todd?
The payments were not made to these individuals in exchange for a service separate and apart from their work within these organizations. So, you know, that's I think speaks for itself.
Just on an off topic, obviously you've read the Atlantic article that's now a subject of.
Let's go. Watch Cash during this.
I absolutely did not read that article, but go ahead.
Alright, he says he didn't read the article, but he's actually got quite a few quotes from the article, so interesting.
I just, you know, without, obviously it's in litigation now, have you separately just heard any concerns, given your supervision over the FBI director, about any problems with drinking?
I have a lot of concerns, and my concerns are completely.
Bro, look at Cash's eyes! No! He's freaking out. He says, what concerns? Oh, no.
Around the anonymous reporting that comes forth constantly, that you know, reporters have an obligation to report, and they have due diligence that they're supposed to do. And when an entire article is based on anonymous sources, and there's things in the article suggesting, for example, apparently that senior DOJ personnel were informed of something, that's me.
Bro, I thought you didn't read the article. How would you know that if you didn't read the article? Wait, Todd. Mr. Blanche. I thought you didn't read the article, sir. How would you know about that detail if you hadn't read it? It's just interesting, isn't it? Maybe it's a good thing he's our acting AG. He's got the power of foresight, which not many possess. So maybe that is a big deal. You know, maybe, you know what? I'm starting to really, that makes a lot more sense now. What is this? Guster? Alright, thanks, man. Much appreciated.
I wasn't informed. No one called me about that. So, like, listen, I did not read that article. It is the subject of litigation, but you know, I've already spent too much time talking about it. Next question. Go ahead.
On that, Todd, I'm sorry. The FBI director is on camera with the U.S. Olympic hockey team chugging a beer. I mean, do you think that that's appropriate conduct for the FBI director?
That has nothing to do with the article. I mean, look, there's a there's complete hit pieces, and you guys are in this business, and you know what they look like, and the fact that you're asking repeated questions about them almost as an admission of such. But when you have a bunch of people who are hiding
What?
behind closed curtains, saying things but not willing to say it publicly, and there's certain
Maybe
parts
Todd
of
is
the
on
article
the
that
sauce
are
too. That
blatantly
didn't
false
make a lot of
because
sense.
apparently I was told something that I wasn't.
Made less sense than I do.
It's suspicious in the
right
back.
now.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Attorney General. Can you explain again what the fraud is here exactly? Are you saying it's illegal for the SPLC to pay money to people that are in hate groups, or something about the way this was done makes it illegal? Because it's not automatically illegal, is it?
No, that's right. It's a good question. So, and again, I summarized the indictment, and it's now public for everybody to read. But the Southern Poverty Law Center is a 501c3. Okay, they're required to, under the laws associated with a nonprofit, to have certain transparency and honesty in what they're telling donors they're going to spend money on, and what their mission statement is, and what they're raising money doing. And so, as the indictment points out,
You have to say, if you're gonna pay giant racist man who, if caught being paid by the Southern Poverty Law Center, will probably be killed. You gotta tell your donors that, man. What the hell? I wonder why they wouldn't tell their donors about that. I wonder. Beats me, guys. Sounds like they're just committing a bunch of fraud. Beats me. Beats the crackers out of me, guys. Beats the crackers out of me. How they know they were getting paid for decades? Vibes. Vibes are always a really great tell. I mean, come on, guys. Think about it. Vibes stand up in court. You guys didn't read about that in law school? Vibes stand up in court. It's basically over for Southern Poverty Law Center. I mean, it's basically over, guys. It's dead. There's no way they survive this assault. No way. I'm sure a judge won't just throw this out. Must have crept some records? Well, something tells me this is a Trump first turn hangover that he continues. That Todd Blanche and Kash are continuing on. Something tells me this is a first term Trump kind of thing. I could be wrong. Could be wrong, guys. You know, I don't think I've ever been 100% right on something unless it's literally everything. The joke was that I'm right about everything. God damn. Sleep is important, guys. Highly recommend it. But, you know, if you are sleep deprived like yourself, then we're hanging on by a thread right now. We need a MAGA caller to bring me back to sanity. We need a MAGA caller to bring me back to sanity. Let me see if any have called in. No. They're too afraid.
There's
I don't blame
different
them.
ways that they raise money, and in no fundraising efforts that the investigation found did they say, oh, and by the way, we're going to give $1 million to the Ku Klux Klan. So that's fraud. So that's wire fraud. So, and then the
Yep, there we go. That's fraud. I call that false advertising. That's fraud. Hold on, I've got a soundbite for you guys. Shout out to the H3 Lore website. They've got some pretty good sounds. All right. Here we go, guys. That's fraud. By J. Rule.
That's fraud.
Yep. Amen, Jay. That's fraud. That's false advertising. Here, let me see if I can find that. Actually, they should have the whole list of J. Rule sound bites.
I would call that false advertising.
Yep, there we go. Amen. Thank you, J. Rule. That's fraud. They've got him. They've got him, guys. Hook, line, and sinker. Oh no, I didn't tell people that I was paying money to racist. Well, you know what that's called?
I would call that false advertising.
There we go. Thank you, Jay. Explaining it to the people. I wish I could have the soundboard up all the time, but unfortunately, it gets rid of the screen there. But again, what would you call that, J. Rule?
I would call that fraud.
Okay.
That's fraud.
Well, all right. I mean, J. Rule has spoke on it, guys. J. Rule. So, wait, Jay, if I'm like trying to essentially help these people, like help bring down these people, and the only reason I was giving money to these groups was to take them down for, you know, as in forms of informants and stuff like that. What would you say that's
not fraud.
Oh, it's not. Okay. Well, it's not fraud. Well, hold on though. Just a minute ago you said it was fraud. So what's going on there? I mean, what would you even call that?
I would call that false advertising.
Oh, okay. So it's false advertising. Not necessarily fraud, but much more false advertising. Okay. Well, I mean, thanks for letting me know, Jay. I appreciate that. I think we can clear it up from here. Okay, so what you would say is it's false advertising, but it's not necessarily fraud. That's kind of your
I would
position.
call that fraud.
All right, bro, you're just confusing me. Get out of here. Get out of here. You're just confusing me now.
bank fraud part of it is you have KYC, you have an obligation to tell your financial institution what the corporation or the entity that you're opening an account Ford does.
Oh, I see. Okay, so J. Rule is onto something. It is false advertising. That's not fraud. When's Morrowind? Morrowind will be sometime between now and the heat death of the universe. So, you know, I wouldn't hold your breath, but it's definitely gonna happen at some point. Whoa, legendary creeper! No! Now, hopefully Jay doesn't learn about my Fallout New Vegas debates, or else he's gonna be upset about that one. I can almost promise you guys that.
And the allegations in the indictment are that these were fictitious companies that were set up, and so there was certain information
soon? Yeah, I
sworn to
know,
by
right?
SPLC executives about what
No, I'm just feeling
the
generous.
entities were doing that we allege is false.
Can I just follow up on, can I have one follow-up, Mr.
Go ahead.
On the hiring of Joe DeGenova to work for the department, can you just tell us a little bit? I understand you went down to Florida, perhaps to take part in his swearing in or bring him on board. Can you explain why he's being brought back to the department after 40 years?
So, I mean, look, I think that everybody in this administration, whether it's Department of Justice or elsewhere, we're always looking for good people. And he's somebody who has a deep bench. As you said, he's been in this business for decades.
He's got a deep bench. You guys know what that means. Todd Blanche and his can't stop talking about benches. You know what I'm saying, guys? You guys picking up what I'm putting down? I would call that false advertising. That's fraud. Sorry, guys. That's one of my favorite sound bites.
And when we had the opportunity to ask him to join the team and help, we readily did.
I have an on-topic and an off-topic, if you'll allow me. Are you able to explain a little bit more about what led to this investigation? Were you guys tipped off by a former employee, or how did you guys discover this?
No, I can't talk about that, but it's been going on for a long time.
He was about to
There
say
was a
he had
time that
informants.
it was shut down for a while during the last administration. I don't know why, and it was
Probably
started again over the
'cause it was
past year
bullshit?
or so, and that brings us to today.
I'm sorry, you mean the investigation began before this administration and then was shut down during the Biden administration?
That's my understanding. I don't have information beyond what I just said around that.
That's great.
I wanted to ask about the John Brennan investigation. If you can explain why the career prosecutor who had been leading that investigation was removed, and if you have or had concerns that investigation is not moving quickly enough.
I don't have any concerns about that investigation. And again, the reporting around that really is just a source purely from leaks and not actually accurate reporting is not something I'm going to comment on and never will comment on.
Could I ask you just to clarify
though
one
he
thing? Obviously, the
commented on it
Bureau had
earlier-
a long
earlier.
relationship with the SPLC. Is it your understanding that the previous leaders at the Bureau knew this was happening and didn't view it as a crime? Or is that the Bureau did not know this was happening?
It is.
Oh yeah,
it is my
Virginia flipped blue, ladies and gentlemen. That is something else to get excited about, ladies and gentlemen. They are gerrymandering the shit out of their maps like Texas did. To hopefully get us like, I think it was 6 more seats. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. And you know what else? Virginia left it up to the people. The cronies in Texas could never wish to do something as based as that. They wish. Whoa, we're getting shocked. I don't like that. Not a fan of being shocked, okay, ladies and gentlemen? Not a fan. But yeah, we're taking dubs left and right, ladies and gentlemen. Part of me was kind of kicking myself for not being live yesterday, but I needed a brain day. I needed a day where we can focus on our brain and try to recover some of the lost HP from talking to Trump supporters so frequently. I wasn't able to restore it all, but a good amount was restored, so that's all we really, I mean, that's what we care about here, you know?
Understanding that SPLC never told anybody in law enforcement that they were paying off the Ku Klux Klan, and I don't think that should surprise anybody.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Attorney General. I'd like you to both weigh in on a recent memo from the Office of Legal Counsel declaring the Presidential Records Act unconstitutional, so saying that presidents no longer need to preserve their documents or return them to the government.
Good.
What do you say to critics who suggest this basically eliminates transparency and accountability around how White House operates, especially given how much time you guys are spending investigating the previous administration?
Well, look, I think there is no dispute that this administration in just 14 months has been a lot more transparent than the last administration or in any administration. So,
see, and if you just say it a lot of times, then it's true, guys. If you just say it all the time, it's true.
critics are suggesting that somehow we're not being transparent, I don't find that credible in any way, shape, or form. As far as the recent OLC opinion regarding the PRA, that is something that has been heavily litigated in DC and elsewhere, and OLC issuing that is not the first, that's not the first place that you see that it's unconstitutional. I mean, I think there's a lot of places that you can go to think through why that is. The memo speaks for itself, and I don't have much to say about it beyond that.
Patel, do you want to weigh in on that?
The president has this pending billion-dollar lawsuit against the IRS. He sort of said that this is like he's negotiating with himself. How can you assure, is there anything you can do to assure the American people that taxpayer dollars are being protected? How are those negotiations being handled?
1% is disappointing. I disagree. You had a lot of people saying the law would pass only with like 1%, so 4% is a bigger win than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be pretty close margins, and they still are, 4%, but I think that shows that there's a lot of will in the country to oppose to essentially oppose the Trump administration's extremist agenda. So I see it as a dub, personally. I saw some people a little, in your position, Bill, but I wouldn't worry too much. I think this is a huge win. Terracotta time. You guys know what time it is.
Most certainly not going to talk about ongoing litigation, and it wouldn't be appropriate for me to comment about that case given its status right now.
Broadly, with the various interests, the competing interests there, right? You have the president in the White House pressing, obviously, for some personal money, and then you have him being your boss. How do you sort of, just broadly speaking, how do you sort of handle that sort of issue?
What do you do with
Terracotta? The Department of Justice handles.
I've made a beautiful home in the Aether. I mean, one of the most beautiful homes in the Aether. Maybe one of the most beautiful Minecraft homes I've ever made. And I need yellow terracotta for it. So, that's what the terracotta is for. I mean, we're talking, I was pretty proud of myself, not gonna lie. You guys will probably see it at some point. The only issue with the Aether is it's very fucking... not much there. There's not too much there. I had to populate it with my own trees. But it's cool living in the sky, Oh. It's just cool living in the sky. I think we can all agree on that one. Would you rather live in the sky or the ground? I mean, the sky is the obvious part. My main base is still on the ground, but anytime I want to just vibe out, we've got a place to go. I think that's great for representation. Damn, we're to the point I don't even need to get diamonds.
Complicated decisions involving those type of issues every day, all day, and not just this Department of Justice. Every Department of Justice handles issues like that. I mean, you have
Go off.
decisions that an attorney general or his or her staff have to make that are difficult and complicated, and we do it. Attorney generals before me have done it, and we'll be able to handle it in an appropriate and ethical manner. Yep.
That's interesting.
Thank you,
I
Acting
don't know
Attorney
about that
General.
one.
A question for you and then a question for the FBI Director. You spoke about the timeline of the investigation. I know you said you have not much more to say about that, but I am curious if you can talk about if it started in 2017, 2018, and just given what you said about the Biden administration turning it off, how is
I did everything right and they indicted
the
me.
Department of Justice ensuring this investigation remains free from political influence?
Well, I mean, look, it's free from political. There is nothing political about this indictment or this investigation.
Nothing at all.
SPLC has lawyers, and if they think that I'm wrong about that, they're going to be free to make a motion in front of a judge like every other defendant in the country. As far as what I just don't know information. It wasn't that far ago. It was within the past 4 or 5 years, but there was a decision made. I don't have any insight into why it was made to not pursue the investigation. And we
I wonder why.
we started it again, and that brings us to where we are today.
Patel, I do want to give you an opportunity to respond directly to the allegations in the Atlantic article that your unexplained absence
What's he
created
gonna
a
say?
national security risk.
What's he gonna say? Oh no. Don't let him get on the mic, ladies and gentlemen. Biden gave us so much. Amen. Biden did give us a lot. A lot of hope.
And beyond that, can you say definitively that you have not been intoxicated or absent during your tenure as FBI Director?
I can say unequivocally that I never listened to the fake news mafia. And as well.
Bam! Get fucking wrecked, liberals. Ooh, I bet that one hurt, didn't it? I don't listen to the fake news mafia. Boom. Fucking in your face, fake news. You want to call me drunk? Well, guess what? I don't listen to your stupid fucking mafia, man. You loser. Yeah, I don't listen to the fake news mafia, okay? I only listen to me, Kash Patel. Coolest guy in the White House. That's me. If I don't listen to no fake news mafia, I only listen to the cool guy. That's me, Kash Patel. I'm the cool guy. And I don't listen to your fake news mafia. I don't listen to your fake news mafia, buddy. I only listen to the guy in charge, Kash Patel. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. Oh. That's some good water. That's some good waters. Anyways, fake news media, what do you have to say?
When they get louder, it just means that I'm doing my job. This FBI director has been on the.
Yeah, the more they talk about Kash, the better job Kash is doing. Yeah, get fucked, media. You guys wish you could be as cool as this guy. Cool like a cucumber. Let's go, Cash. Let's go, Cash. That's what everybody says when I enter the office, because I don't listen to that fake news media mafia. I don't listen to them. I listen to the guy in charge, Kash Patel. That's me. They say, Cash, you gotta stop drinking. Well, I say, how about you stop being so dumb, idiot? They must have forgot who they're dealing with. I don't listen to no fake news woke media. I only listen to C. Patel. Or K. Patel. Ooh, my bad. I only listen to KP. That's abbreviation for Kash Patel, baby. Woo! I don't listen to the fake news mafia, little fucking bitch. I only listen to me. I'm sorry. I think I do too good of a drunk Kash Patel. Listen here, buddy. I don't listen to no fake news wokey media. I only listen to the facts. And the only facts, they're coming right out of this man's mouth. So you better listen if you want to be factual. I'm fucking KP, Kash Patel. Fucking losers. Whoa. Losers. Where's my aid? Where's my aid? Why can't I log into my Chromebook? Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. Am I about to get fired? Oh, shit. Oh, God. No, I'm about to get fired. Oh. Oh, shit. Oh, God, guys. I gotta text the president real quick. Hey, Donnie. Or, shit. Hey, Daddy Don. Am I getting fired? Oh, fuck. I'm afraid.
The job twice as many days as every director before me. What that means is I've taken half as many days off as those before me. What that means is I've
see, Kash Patel's got the code figured out. You can just drink on your days, you know, you can just drink all the time if you just don't take your days off when you do it. That was supposed to be him. It is him. It is him. There's no supposed to be at all. Too whitewash sounding. Not nasally. Well, he's drunk, so his nasal passages are cleared. He's drunk, so his naval passages are cleared, ladies and gentlemen. He's probably got a stream of snot wiling down his face, like a disgusting loser that he is.
I've taken a third less vacation than those before me. What that means is that this FBI, with this Department of Justice, has dropped the murder rate 20 points. What that means is this FBI, with this Department of Justice, has captured 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world, twice as many as the Biden administration did in its entire 4 years. What that means is this FBI has seized enough fentanyl off the streets to kill 178 million Americans, a 31% increase.
Definitely.
What that means is this FBI and this DOJ has arrested 43% more
Pete's
spies
the one making
in
Trump
14
look
months in the
so,
entirety of the Biden
bad
administration.
with his military planning. So
What
he's
that means
definitely
is
on the
this
chopping
FBI
block.
has seen a reduction in opiate overdose deaths up to 20% alone. What that means is that we have found 6,300 child victims. 6,300 families have their kids back. That is a 22% increase from the Biden administration. I'm on the job. I'm the first one in. I'm the last one out. I'm like an everyday American who loves his country, loves the sport of hockey, and champions my friends when they raise a gold medal and invite me into.
This is a crash out. This is a crash out. Imagine how much they dumped on him. I bet he's traumatized. What do you mean? SD Rook? I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. Listen, we don't need to, you know, Cash, luckily, I mean, the 24/7 booze, you guys may see that as a disadvantage, but think about it, guys. I mean, this man has beer goggles on 24/7. Somebody drunk committed a crime, he'll know. It's like he has, he's unlocked animal talk or whatever it's called. He can talk to animals, guys. Think about that. I, for one, can't believe the disrespect we're giving. Just can't believe it. My fucking sick-ass farm. Beautiful farm. What a beautiful house, honestly. The combination of reds with yellows and greens. I mean, how could you say this is anything but the most gorgeous house you've ever seen? In Minecraft, just in general. And if you can't see it, that's because the eye is not meant to perceive such beauty. The eye is not meant to perceive such beauty, so only those that have seen true beauty are allowed to see it. And everybody else is cast away. His workload? Oh no, he's fucking fine. He shouldn't be out partying if his workload is too high. Maybe he should chill with his girlfriend a little bit. Maybe he should, you know, maybe he shouldn't have fucking taken the job. I have no sympathy for this fucking loser. Zero sympathy. The reason the Charlie Kirk shooting was so fucked up is because of him, apparently. What about the Southern Poverty Law Center? Well, I don't think they've really even proven that there's anything, there was any crime taking place, so something tells me this case is gonna get absolutely thrown out. Just listen to the legal argument behind it. Demonstrants destroy the country! Alright, pipe down, buddy. I don't even know what the job actually entails. No, I'm pretty sure I know what the FBI director does. It's kind of in the name, isn't it? Like, we don't have to wonder. We don't have to be curious about what the FBI director does. It's quite literally in his name what he does.
Celebrate. I've never been intoxicated on the job, and that is why we filed a $250 million defamation lawsuit. And any one of you that wants to participate, bring it on. I'll see you in court.
Explain the computer login issue. Just explain the computer login issue. You were not able to log into your lawsuit contends that you were not able to log into the system. What did you think after you were unable to log into the system?
Let's have a survey. How many of you people believe that's true? Hang on.
Did you communicate
You
with
asked the question. Let me answer it.
No, let me ask.
No.
Did you communicate with anyone that you thought you were
He
fired
directs.
after you...
That's it. Well, I mean, to be quite honest, what the fuck else has he done? Seriously, like, what the fuck else has he done? You're sitting here acting like he's fucking basically solved the Da Vinci Code. And I'm asking you, what the fuck else besides direct the FBI has he done? Oh, we got a call.
From
Steve.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Oh, never mind. Steve hung up. Well, Steve, feel free to call back in, man.
You were unable to log into...
Defend the GOAT of FBI directors, Kash Patel. Let's see it. And you gotta wonder, how many terrorist attacks are happening while Kash Patel decides to focus on what the Southern Poverty Law Center is doing? You gotta wonder, right, folks? Like, how many 9/11s are happening right now? Anyways, feel free to call in. I did just have someone call in. Let me call him back. Hey, you called into the show?
Yeah, I don't know if you were taking calls. Called in last week. I think this whole cabinet's real goofy. They could be in the circus together, but I know that's what you're covering right now.
Yeah, just covering the... Yeah, go on. What's up, brother?
I didn't want to get you off topic. Maybe if you want to finish this, I could call back in when you're kind of out of the weeds with the goof troop.
Dude, I think this press briefing was so funny, man. It has it all. It really does. But all right, yeah, for sure. I'll probably be done in like probably 10 minutes from now with this story, so
Yeah, do your thing. I'll just call in then because I don't want to shift the topic to. It will be a topic shift. It's just information that I don't think.
Honestly, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
if you want to say it, you can, brother. I don't. It's
Yeah.
not super linear, so.
Gotcha. Yeah, this whole thing about Iran that people are convinced of, the mega supporters will say imminent threat, and even Democrats or those on the left are convinced that Iran wants death to America and all these other things. And none of them have actually been to Iran. There's several people who have, and they, will report, you can get luxury cars. There's black tar heroin in Tehran. There's a lot of cocaine and partying and things that would be considered more Western. That's kind of to start out, but there was two people in their highest echelons. You could say the foreign minister and the president from 2013 to 2021. The foreign minister's name was Zarif, and then the president was President Rouhani. And both of these guys have very questionable pasts. For instance, Zarif, both of his kids are American citizens, went to school in America. He has schooling in San Francisco as well as the University of Denver, I believe. And it's kind of odd to think that a guy who's a part of Chatham House, which is like an international Bilderberger kind of offshoot, John Kerry's also part of it, and they're really, really good friends. So to think that this guy who's the foreign minister wants death to America when his kids are American citizens, he went to school in America, he's a part of Chatham House, and
So
it's very odd.
You're confusing the civilian leadership for the IRGC. So the civilian leadership is typically very Western friendly. Typically they are they have a lot closer ties. Like you said, they send their children to America to learn, actual science. But the issue is that the IRGC is the one in control typically, and that's their military arm. And then ahead of them, until this recent strike, was the clerics, and now it seems like it's much more IRGC controlled. So I hear what you're saying, and I would, to a certain extent, agree that I don't think the civilian population wants to see death to America.
I think the civilian
that does is the IRGC.
I think the civilian population and who's a part of the IRGC, they're supposedly trying to serve the people of Iran. It's not their particular
it's
interest.
Military elites. It's not. No, you don't get very far in the IRGC if you're like, they don't have non-commissioned officers and stuff like that.
Well, who would the IRGC do? The bankers? Does the money men run Iran, or is it just a military coup at this point? Because have they been a military coup since the Shah was installed by the United States in the 50s?
I'd say
Because all of these,
it wasn't quite a military coup under the Shah. You're talking about like military control and stuff like that.
yeah, that's my whole thing. Is financially,
I'd say it was much more during the 70s coup than it was the 60s.
Okay, because another thing about President Rouhani is he got his PhD in Sharia law in Scotland, of all places. And it's kind of odd because he was good friends with a guy named Jack Straw. And who is Jack Straw good friends with? Lord Levi Rothschild. So I think
the reason
politically,
yeah,
go ahead.
I really do try to fight against these narratives specifically, because this very much sounds much more like the civilian leadership is starting to gain power, and the IRGC is presenting propaganda to say it's just a Western shill, they're just a Western install. I have no friendships with the Iranian government. They are evil, and make no mistake, they are a theocracy. They kill people that disagree with them. They're very repressive. So I'm not upset if we have like some fucking install there to try to make some democracy actually happen.
Well, the IRGC isn't controlling these narratives. These are just facts that anyone can research.
Well, I wouldn't say, but to draw a connection between all of these things, that is a conspiracy. That is a narrative that would benefit the IRGC.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to say is these narratives, there's always two sides to every narrative. It's the dialectic thinking. I'm trying to bridge the gap and say the IRGC could be influenced just as the politicians could be influenced by the money men. Because the city of London, specifically within London, these people have a way of influencing every country, every politician. The money men, like every war is a banker's war. General Smedley Butler wrote that book, War is a Racket.
Yeah,
so my whole thing is,
I personally don't believe war is a racket. If it was, we would have made bank during the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, and we really didn't.
Well, we did in Afghanistan. The poppy seed fields, the heroin production.
We didn't make economic, like, things that would actually affect our GDP. We didn't.
Well, that's the whole thing is the people of Iran and the people of the United States have been believed that we are against each other, but it's the people at the top. For instance, in Afghanistan, they farmed out all the lithium, and who did that go to? The capitalists at the top who need phone batteries, who need all the sort of things to push.
I'm a capitalist.
Well, no, it's not about being against capitalists. It's that these people at the top of industries will make a lot of money from war. The pharmaceuticals, the poppy seeds, the pharmaceuticals. We had a drug crisis.
Beneficial as a lot of people like to imply. For example,
it's not beneficial.
You would say this war in Iran would probably be making us bank, but look at all the billions we're losing in global trade.
Well, it's not making us bank. The GDP, it's not
America
that.
Bank. Yeah, it's not making anybody bank. It's only to it's really not, man. There's no money being made on this Iranian war except by the Iranians.
So that's my whole premise, that war is a racket. I would suggest reading that book thoroughly.
Yeah,
because some of the quotes from Smedley Butler.
Okay. Yeah, go off. My bad.
Yeah, if I could just read a single quote from him. He said, If only more of today's military personnel would realize that they are being used by the owning elites as a publicly subsidized capitalist goon squad. And I think every military, for the most part in the world, they're used as a goon squad. And he also said, I spent 33 years and 4 months in active service, and he was a part of the Marines. He's the most decorated person in our country's military history, 2 Medal of Honors and the Brevet Award that only 23 people ever received, and you can't even get it anymore. He said, during the time in which I spent most of my time, during that time,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
If I could finish this, he said during the time in which he was a part of the Marines as a 2-star general, a major general, he said, I spent most of my time being a high-class muscleman for big business, for Wall Street, and for the bankers. He was explaining that he had control over 3 continents, and when they needed him securing a natural resource.
Yeah, they hire him to do that. That's not how our military works, though, friend. Donald Trump is making.
No, that's how they have.
But that's not how our military works. Our military, like, you guys only see the weapons companies and how much they make, but you never look at how much the trade has been lost for these conflicts, how much human suffering comes from these conflicts that aren't resolved. You know, to boil it down to just, oh, it's all about money is foolish, because it totally disregards all the geopolitical implications of why we invaded and why we did those militant actions.
Well, 62% of our GDP is distributed between private contracts and public contracts. What are the military industrial complex of that GDP? What percentage of our GDP?
Complex doesn't exist, bro. It's just not a thing. It was a thing during Ike's time because there was, you know, he obviously was coming off the draws of World War II and all that, but in the way you think the military industrial complex exists is not how it exists today. They're actually
Lockheed Martin. Wait, you're telling me that Lockheed Martin and their huge contract with the F-35, you're telling me that American dollars with Raytheon and all the missiles that they produce, you're telling me that American taxpayer money is not being funneled to those companies, and that there's huge amounts of waste?
What does funneling imply? Exactly.
Taxation
I
without
agree
representation.
With you, there's probably taxation without representation. What are you talking about? That's not what
tax money is being pulled, going to military contracting, and we don't decide how much. It's a black budget. And when I said
they're at all, you do have a choice. You do have a choice. You could vote for the president that said they were going to limit military spending, or you could vote for the president that said he was going to increase military spending. I think it's pretty obvious that we do have a say, and we are represented in this dichotomy you've set up.
If you look at the money that's been spent towards the companies that do make our military products, whether it's planes, missiles, radar guidance, and all of that, the money that we've dumped in the military has gone up over time. It hasn't gone down. It's not this up and down, back and forth.
The reason that we see all these military spending projects is partly because we don't have a military industrial complex. The issue that's happening is that we have problems with procurement right now. That is something that has really been killing the American military, quote unquote, complex, is that we have problems essentially. We have an expectation for a ship, a vessel, and then over time we add all sorts of different specifications we want to it. So the original contract doesn't even cover all the new bells and whistles Congress or the military has added to it. And so the budget starts to balloon. It starts to become a lot bigger because of these different because of these different tools and attachments that we add on to them. It's not necessarily that they're just draining the military budget. It's that we a lot of times underestimate how much we're going to be spending on these projects, and by the time we actually have a real grasp on it, we've already maxed out our budget.
Okay, I'll say this. When it comes to our GDP that affects trade for consumer goods, gasoline, so on and so forth, that always takes a hit, a big hit, and those prices go up during these times.
I agree.
The only thing that goes up and where it's making money is for certain companies that are involved with the military. And that's where I'm saying is who invests in.
We're seeing
how would that not be true? That's
we're seeing the S&P still climb. We're seeing all these signs that
our
economy isn't doing well, but it is still climbing. And I agree with you. The GDP is not great, but that's not because of military contractors siphoning off the money. It's because of decreased global trade across the world.
Okay, and the tariffs have a big part to do, and we can vote for certain people, but since the 50s, since Eisenhower warned about the military-industrial complex, those exact words.
Yeah, I know. It existed in his time.
JFK tried to limit how much could go to them. That I have to completely disagree, because we've gone to wars pointlessly, and we've extracted. Why? Because we've extracted resources based off of false claims, weapons of mass destruction. Afghanistan, what was that all about? That was to try to find Osama bin Laden, who is tied closely with the Bush family, and he's been used as an asset. And it was known he was a CIA asset. So no. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are well researched.
No, they're not well researched. They really are.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is. These aren't theories anymore. These people have
connections. So our government
financial connections.
2,003, 2,700 of people that died on 9/11. We willingly sacrificed those just so we could have a casus belli to go to war.
To make a lot of money in Afghanistan because the lithium was extracted, and American troops protected those poppy fields.
Okay, so I don't think
I think
the war on terror was a traumatic response from America and the president. I don't think it was very well thought out, but we were dealing with a lot of trauma from 9/11. And I think that far more explains why we went to war with all of these Middle Eastern countries than some profit motives. I don't think people do everything in the world just for money, man.
At the upper echelon, they're not doing it for money purposes, to manipulate populations of countries, to get them to believe that there is these ultimate conflicts. How would we explain these 19 hijackers, and how would we explain that the people who are...
Yeah, that's pretty easy. The military actions the previous administrations took that radicalized Osama bin Laden.
And we funded the Afghanis against the Russians. We gave them weapons. So we've been playing proxy with what I'm trying to say is, when we play proxy, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's Afghanistan, whatever country that we fund,
Ukraine is a sovereign
country. Syria, Ukraine? No, the Syrian conflict. The Ukrainian what I'm saying is, these conflicts, American money gets sent there to fight a particular side in a sort of, for instance, any European country can give money to Syria or Ukraine to fight, and this is a proxy. There's proxy. It's not that America is there themselves or the UK is there themselves.
But a proxy implies that they
that money...
Go on.
I was saying that money that we send for these conflicts, the only people making money is the arms manufacturers, is the drone manufacturers. It's not things that we can benefit off of as a
Yeah,
people.
and
Our
the only
tax
people
money
making
goes to
money-
these companies.
Yeah, the only people making money during a plague are the vaccine developers.
More or less, you could say that that's a large lump
so
sum.
it's
Like, for instance, Bill
it's
Gates.
almost like they decided to spec into a particular industry, and when that particular industry is in need, there will be profits to be made. But when they're not in need, there won't be profits. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Okay. Did you hear about Event 201? Event 201, it was October 18th, 2019. It was the simulation event that the Bill Gates Foundation had, and you can watch the whole thing. It's on YouTube. They published this. They had the CEOs of hotel companies. They had the CEO of UPS, all at this Event 201, where they were simulating an outbreak. And they specifically said the long CV-19.
Yeah, we're not doing
This is
vaccine
facts.
conspiracies,
These
man.
are facts.
These are conspiracies.
Oh, I'm not
just
saying
gonna
vaccine conspiracy.
Just straight up, like, that's a conspiracy, bro.
Well, you can say theory. You can't say
it's a
theory when the
conspiracy
proof is
theory.
in the pudding.
Well, even
How
there's
is it
the
a theory?
of there's theories that are reality, but anyways, how is it a conspiracy theory? Well, you're essentially saying that Bill Gates knew about COVID-19 before it happened. As if
They literally
for
said in the
as if, for
simulation that it was a
example, as if that the world wasn't ready for another plague like we saw during the Spanish flu of the 1920s. These things come around every 100 years. It doesn't take Nostradamus to make sure to assume that a giant plague was going to hit America and the rest of the world.
but it's the timing. It's months before the first case showed up in January 2020. I believe it was in Seattle.
So if I had a plague if I had a Plague Inc. game called C19 and I played that Plague Inc. game as if it was a flu virus that killed old people, would that mean that I was planning for COVID-19?
No, you have to watch the Event 201. It's I think 5 hours where they described everything that would happen, from the effects to the economy to how people would get sick. They literally said this in this simulation. And what else have we done simulations for in the history of this country? On the day of 9/11, they had a simulation of a plane crashing into a building. This is admitted. This is documented.
This is also something else that I like. A lot of people died on 9/11, man, and I'm sorry, but I don't think it was some big plan by the military. There is hints that the government knew that something like this was going to happen, and they didn't prepare well enough. Our state heads didn't tell the right people, but there's no evidence to suggest that the U.S. government had a direct hand in these 19 hijackers hijacking the plane.
Let's talk about Building 7 then. That didn't get hit by a plane.
We're going to talk about Building
What
7.
was being housed in Building 7?
Oh,
it was billions of dollars of fraud that wasn't accounted for.
In fraud. Yep, that's what it was. Totally.
Okay.
You realize Building 7, the reason Building 7 fell was because the buildings literally collapsed into the concrete. So it would make sense that a structurally unstable
that's not how the Building 7 fell. It fell in a controlled demolition fashion.
It was a
there are several
demolition.
There's skyscraper engineers from New York City who've documented that buildings will crumble in certain ways. There's controlled demolitions. They can topple over on each other. They can pancake.
See, but you're not a demolitions expert, man.
I've watched what demolition and skyscraper engineers have put out there. See, I'm
Why are
privileged
they-
to
so
certain
they're-
information.
Now they're, they were so successful at their job that now they're appearing on some conspiracy theory documentary to
No, they
really
care
make
about what
notes.
happened to this country that we've been lied about. If
I don't
Building
think they
7 was a
care. I
control,
think they just care about their stupid conspiracies.
they've made no money from this. These people just say
All
that,
right, what's the first? Okay, well, give me one of the names, and we'll see if they've made money off of this.
there was a video called The Towers. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was explaining and showing you evidence of how buildings fall. And he says, "How would I know about this? I'm a skyscraper engineer." And he had the Manhattan accent. He says, "I've been a skyscraper engineer for the past 17 years." And he showed video evidence of how buildings will crumble and then what a controlled demolition looks like. And Building 7 did not look like the various ways in which a building can fall apart. It looked exactly like a controlled demolition. So my whole thing is, if there was fraud being investigated in that building, and where did the Pentagon get hit by the plane supposedly? Because some people think it was a plane, or some people think it was a missile.
Yeah, so my opinion on the Pentagon and what happened there, it makes, in my opinion, it makes sense. They probably used an anti-aircraft missile or some sort of interception capabilities before the plane actually hit, because it's the Pentagon. That's where all of our military heads are being housed and all of our military information is being housed. So they probably used an anti-aircraft missile. But they're not going to tell the public of those capabilities, obviously. They're not going to just say, hey,
we can say it's a missile or a plane.
Well, no, we really
can't. Let's say it's
really
either or. Let's say it's either or.
Because
where did it hit?
Where did
what
it hit?
office did it hit?
Yeah,
in the Pentagon. What specific office?
I'm assuming it was for the office responsible for fraud and corruption. That's the typical.
It was the budgets analyst office at the Pentagon that got hit specifically.
Yeah.
So this isn't a theory.
They couldn't have just started like some big fire or something like that. No, they had to get an entire missile.
It fit the narrative.
Like, think about how much has to go, how many things you have to do. Think about how many things you have to do for this.
You wouldn't have to do much.
And you're telling me, oh no, you definitely would.
If you have a precision guided missile,
you have to. Yeah, you have
exactly.
To
if you have a precision guided missile, and you know what office,
you have to make sure that the person guiding that missile, that guidance missile, doesn't say anything. You have to make sure all the generals that signed off on that don't say anything. You have to make sure that there is no evidence of a missile hitting, which is already a bit of an issue. And something else, our missiles are a lot more powerful than what happened on the Pentagon. You know, we don't need, like, if it was a true missile hitting that, the entire wing would be gone, not just like a small little chunk taken out of it.
Well, what type of missiles do we have? We have missiles with certain payloads.
Yeah, we have missiles with certain payloads,
parameters, but then we we have certain missiles with potential of kinetic energy as well, where they will hit a structure and the kinetic energy causes damage. So they could have used a specific missile that wouldn't blow the entire place up.
Like
but if there's a specific...
Yeah. If you look at, I'm sorry, but if you look at the way that the missile impacted, it doesn't look like a kinetic impact. It looks like very much like a explosion. It doesn't look like a kinetic missile impact. It looks like something exploded there, and that would make sense if they used their anti-aircraft capabilities. You know, the entire plane doesn't get there, but probably a small little bit gets there that explodes upon impact, and then they're able to clean up.
Okay, so let's say it's a small payload missile. We're going through all the possibilities. Our military...
To be a missile, bro? Why can't you just accept the fact that it was probably a plane?
No, you were saying that you were saying earlier in the conversation that it probably wasn't a plane. It most likely was a guided missile because of how it entered the building on the video evidence with a still shot.
Not at all. What I said was that it most likely got intercepted by anti-aircraft capabilities. I never said one thing about a missile being launched, although, I mean, a missile could have been part of the anti-aircraft capabilities, but
well, I misheard you. I misheard
I
you.
didn't
But
say
the thing
that
is,
at all.
I said if it's a plane or a missile, it was specifically hitting a certain place that was investigating lost fraud money that the government gave us no answers for. They had no accountability for either. I think it was either a few billion or it was $5 trillion when Donald Rumsfeld came out on camera and he specifically said, we cannot account for this money.
Famous man.
That was
to
before
trust Donald
September.
Rumsfeld.
I think
Famously
several months
truthful
before.
Man. Famously truthful.
Well, why
man,
would he
Donald
come out and
Rumsfeld.
admit they would have to once an so you're telling me that he's going to lie about our finances when it
for
is
political
accountability
gain?
issue?
For political gain?
That
No, not at all.
not
He
for
would never
not
do
for
that.
not for political gain.
Donald Rumsfeld, what a
it's not
trustworthy
about
man.
a factor of political gain. It's not about political gain. This isn't politics here. This is not, if money goes missing, it's not political. This is an economic issue for the United
it is
States.
Political. It is political because people use that as a political attack method. You know, you see it all the time. Donald Trump complaining about the Pentagon, but giving the Pentagon a shit ton of money. No, there's a very obvious political gain to be had by saying there's a huge conspiracy.
When's the last time that we had large amounts of money go missing and they couldn't account for it in the trillions? And it was admitted.
I really
When's the
am
last
wondering.
time that's happened?
I really am wondering. Like, so the fraud details just disappeared. Was there an investigation happening? And
there was an investigation.
Okay, interesting.
That's where.
Who was it headed
That's what
by?
I'm trying to say. Is there was an investigation before September 11th.
Who was it?
I believe the CIA was in that building, or it was the FBI. One of those two were investigating what had happened, and
But
that
the CIA
was in
and
Building
FBI
7.
would have to be involved inside of this. What are you talking about? They would most definitely have to.
How would they be? How would they be involved? The CIA
because
and the
they're
FBI.
the ones that fight against foreign threats in our country.
How would they be involved if they're investigating? How would they be involved in the demolition of that building?
How would they be involved?
That doesn't make any
I'm not
sense.
saying they're involved in the demolition of the building. I'm saying they're in. If your theory is correct, then they would have to be involved in the hijackers gaining access to the plane, the hijackers doing all of this, because they're the ones that are directly responsible, and they would almost immediately catch that.
Okay, so the FBI
and CIA
agents
have to be involved if for your theory to be correct.
Is it on the ground? If they're involved, is it on the ground level FBI agents, or is it the people above those people?
Oh, the wondering, that's a great question. I wonder. I guess we'll never know. See what I mean? Though?
No, it's an easy answer because
to credulity. It doesn't stand up to credulity.
Well, how many FBI agents on the?
I'm assuming that the FBI leaders that basically gave the okay, the FBI and CIA leaders that gave the okay for them to do this investigation are the same FBI leaders and CIA leaders to say, oh yeah, 9/11, we're about to do that, baby. It's going to be the biggest and baddest ever.
Well, I would refer to the top researcher of 9/11, Christopher Bolin, and you can go through his information and you can understand all the facts. This isn't a made-up theory. These are all facts.
No, these are made up.
These are researchable.
And some lies.
If you don't want to verify, no, you haven't been privileged to the information, and you're going to call it a lie and discount.
No, I'm going to
because
call
it doesn't
it a lie
go
because it doesn't stand up to credulity. I'm not saying you yourself are purposely lying. I'm saying you've been lied to, and I think I've been, even without doing any research, I've very obviously poked a few holes in this theory. And
Okay.
that's
Well, how about
before
the
I even do research.
Well, how about the factual evidence and reporting from American citizens who saw a group of people get to a vantage point before the first building was hit, and they were holding up lighters and dancing and clapping and carrying on before the first building hit in New Jersey. They were watching this event take place as if they knew it was going to happen. And who arrested them? The FBI arrested them.
What?
They held them for 71 days. And who were they? They were the quote-unquote dancing Israelis. And the FOIA document... Oh, wait, let's get into it.
Israelis, okay.
That's what they were termed as. And
there
you can
they
go.
We got the dancing Israelis. Are they dancing to the Haganah? Are they dancing to the Haganah?
I don't know what they were dancing
but
they had pictures. They had pictures of from a Polaroid disposable camera that was seized by the FBI, and you can get the FOIA request for those photos. They put something over their face so you can't see their identity, but those men were arrested and then they were later released, and they showed up on Israeli TV. You can find the clip, and they said specifically, we were there to document the event. And who trained Osama bin Laden?
That's a great question.
Who trained him? Mossad trained him.
Oh,
so I'm
it
saying
was Mossad.
It wasn't just.
Interesting.
No, I'm saying it's not just the Saudis. It's not just American United States government. Israel also had a hand in it, and I'm not anti-Jewish person or against Jews. The people in Israel, the Times of Haaretz, and I believe the Israel Times and Haaretz, they've released information that has pretty much said the government, the Zionist government, is doing things that are going to sacrifice American military security and high technology. So what I'm saying is we have an issue with our military. We have an issue with the narrative that we've been told. They call the 9/11 Commission report the 9/11 Omission report because so many facts were left out of that document. And it has rocked our country. We did lose a lot of people, but we've never gotten any accurate answers. The 9/11 trade towers also fell perfectly into their footprint. They didn't follow the three, and that was one of the most structurally sound buildings ever created. Did you ever see the building in the 40s?
The most structurally sound building in history. That's insane to say. I didn't know about that. These dancing
it had an inner skeleton.
Dancing Israelis got some good concrete structure going on.
They weren't responsible for it. They were there to document the event. And they got on Israeli TV and said we were there to document the event. How would they show up at a vantage point that American citizens called the FBI and reported them and they were later arrested? There was a lady in New Jersey who called and a few others. So the FBI was doing good work on the ground. They had arrested several people that they deemed suspicious. But these investigations were shut down. So what we've been told about that event makes no sense. And there's
dancing Israelis. Just look to the dancing Israelis.
You can research the dancing. They were dancing, holding up lighters. They were holding up lighters to the burning building, and they showed up at 8:45 before the first building.
They were burning lighters. How dare those dancing Israelis? How dare they?
And this isn't against Jewish people. These are facts that can be researched. The FOIA document can be researched. They took pictures of themselves doing this. And you want to joke and poo-poo and think that this is some conspiracy theory. No, there is some sort of conspiracy.
No, it's a conspiracy theory, man.
Okay, so why were they there before the event?
Dancing Israelis, you kind of just, your credibility went out the washroom.
That's the term that was
dancing
given
Israelis.
Because they were taking pictures of themselves dancing, and the citizens.
Well, maybe you should pause. Maybe you should pause and say, I wonder why this theory I'm going down, like, if it was
This
official.
isn't a theory.
It
It's
is
factual.
a theory. No, it's not
Well,
factual.
so I'm going to go and get the FOIA document, and I'm going
There we
to do a
go.
FOIA request to get those
Get me
pictures
that
so you
FOIA
can see.
document so I can see
Okay,
those
that can
dancing
be
Israelis.
that can be submitted for, and many people have done the FOIA
Well, we're waiting.
request. And how many researchers have done the FOIA request and actually shown the pictures? I couldn't talk about this if I didn't see the pictures. If someone didn't do a documentary, get the FOIA request, and show these individuals lighting lighters up to the building who were there before the event happened. See, this is where you're disingenuous. You want to call everything a theory when there's factual basis for it, and that leaves no theory. That's conspiracy. So go ahead and have a good time and laugh it up.
Shabbat shalom, my brother. Shabbat shalom.
You know what you should do? You should dance on the graves of everyone who died that day, because essentially that's
Bro,
what you
that's what
would
you're
like to
doing
do.
right now. That's what you're
No,
doing.
I'm
You're
not.
dancing
No,
on
I'm
their
not.
graves.
I would
You're
want-
just dancing on the graves of everybody that died there and saying, oh no, you guys didn't die because of the real reason you died. You died because of this politically motivated fucking conspiracy theory I have that doesn't have any actual credibility, no actual fucking evidence besides just
You've
vibes.
done minimal research.
Bro,
You've never
obviously,
seen
I've
what
done more research into fucking this thing than you have. You're bringing up the dancing
No, you haven't,
Israelis and
because you
think you're
knew
gonna
nothing.
fucking sell
You knew
people.
nothing about what I brought up.
No, I've been pretty inundated with this type of conspiracy theory, bro. It used to be my bread and butter.
Everything that I brought up today, you had no information on the budget.
I have no information at all. No information.
You didn't know what office it was. You didn't know that the fraud that was being investigated in Building 7, that it fell perfectly into its footprint. You want to have this theory that, it falling perfectly into its footprint.
I didn't
is
say
because
that.
The buildings how many blocks away fell.
Oh,
You
how
said
many
that the
blocks away?
buildings
Wait,
fell,
hold on,
and
bro.
that's what
Are you
caused that
denying
building
that earthquakes because of large physical events happening in another neighborhood can happen? Whoa, who's the one not believing in physics now?
Okay,
That's kind of strange.
What's the Richter scale that was recorded from the building fall?
What was
if
the
you don't have
Richter
that information,
scale?
your
Please
claims,
tell me.
your
Please, what was
claims
the
of an
Richter scale?
earthquake,
Did they have Richter scales
on
right
you
on?
to
Did they
present.
have the Richter scale right next to the Twin Towers? That would be a conspiracy. Like, damn, why you got a
every
scale
Richter-
right there?
the geological department has sensors all across the United States where they can sense any sort of quote-unquote earthquake. That's how
All
we
right,
know.
there we go.
So you're telling me that the buildings fell, it did an earthquake effect, and you
Yeah,
don't
why
have
don't you
the
FOIA?
Richter
Why don't you
scale
FOIA the
information?
request for me? FOIA the request the Richter scale. That was going on as well.
I think based off the information that anyone that can research today that I've presented, I think
cooked you
anyone
alive.
can do this research.
I've literally,
find that it
was
exists.
not hard to poke holes in your theory without even doing no research. Think about that. I
There
poked
is
holes
no
in your
theory
fucking
when
little
this is
conspiracy
factual
theory.
information.
Bro, just because you say that doesn't make it true. I'm the biggest, sexiest guy in the world. See? Doesn't make it true.
Absence of evidence isn't evidence of absence. Just because you haven't seen the information
Absence
that
of
I have doesn't
evidence
mean it's
isn't
not there.
evidence of absence. Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to use that next time.
If
People
you
are
haven't
asking
seen
how many
it,
women I've had sex
absent
with.
from the evidence.
Absence of evidence isn't evidence in itself. When
If
they
you
ask
haven't
me-
been
when they
exposed to
ask
the
me how
evidence-
many women I've met, like absence of evidence isn't evidence in itself, my friend.
This is a disingenuous conversation because if I'm
Yeah,
presenting
bro.
things that
The
you
moment
can
somebody
research,
starts going
go ahead
deep
and
into
research.
stupid conspiracy theories like this, I just like to make fun.
You want to call it stupid. You want to call it stupid.
Hey!
But these are the things that actually happen, and they shouldn't be. There shouldn't be a joke about this. We've never gotten answers for September 11th, so you
No,
can keep
this is
making an
funny.
ass of yourself.
This is funny, bro.
Well, go ahead.
I think it's funny to make fun of your stupid
You enjoy
conspiracy.
being ignorant. You enjoy
I'm not
being ignorant to
ignorant.
information that's out there.
I think it happened
No, you're
pretty
ignorant.
much
You
exactly
lack
like it did.
information.
I'm
You
lack.
lack
I am
information.
at. I do
You
not lack
accept what
information.
the government-
You've
you
just
accept what
sucked
the-
up disinformation and you're perpetuating
No,
it
this
like it's
isn't
information.
This isn't disinformation.
No,
When you
it's
can put
very
in a
much
FOIA request,
disinformation.
So the FBI made up these photos of these guys holding up lighters, and all the reports that got these guys arrested it's not factual.
Probably just
When
some
American
weird
citizens-
fucking picture somebody took. And they were like, oh, I have an
These
issue
were
with that.
Israeli citizens.
Oh
that took
my
these
god,
pictures
not
that they were
Israeli citizens! No! No, those are the guys that do all the conspiracies, right? Wow, what a
I'm
shock
not saying that
here
they're
yet
that
again.
they're responsible for every conspiracy, but if they were there to document
Well, I mean,
the
it
event,
kind of is. Like, it's like they're, you know, I
so
swear,
every
these Christians have
Israeli is
been
a part of
upset.
every conspiracy that's
These
ever
Christians
happened
have
in the
been
world.
upset
That's what you're telling
ever
me.
since Pontius Pilate stabbed their favorite guy, and they haven't been stopped bitching about it
You're a
since.
very disingenuous person when you want to actually say that this evidence does
Well,
not
I'm not
exist.
gonna
When
engage
anyone
with
who's
it because I think it's stupid, bro.
because
And it
you're
just
ignorant
hurts.
to it. You're
No, I'm
ignorant
not
to the
ignorant to it. I've seen all the files. I've went
Oh,
into
you've
the
seen
fucking
all the files. Then
conspiracy.
why have you
I've went into the
discounted
conspiracy
everything
that
I've
9/11 happened due to Baphomet, bro. I've seen it all.
Due to Baphomet?
You're not fucking unique. You're not unique.
Okay, so then why can't you account for Donald Rumsfeld, who you say is lying? Everything that you've said, you say is just a lie. It's just a lie. It's just a lie.
No,
'Cause
I
it doesn't
don't.
go with
Did
the
I say
official
that?
narrative.
Did I say
You
that?
said Donald Rumsfeld
Just
doesn't
one lie.
Donald Rumsfeld doesn't.
Yeah, so that's. Oh, he got upset and left. Oh no. No, I was having a good time with him. Damn it! No, I actually really liked that conversation. No! It's like, you're being disingenuous, and it's like, no shit. No shit. You literally are trying to tell me Israelis were behind 9/11. Sorry I don't take that seriously. Let's listen to the Haga Nagila, though. Yeah, Rumsfeld is like known for lying. Bro, exactly. That's what I tried to tell him. But he's the one saying I'm the one lying. That's funny. Hey! I'm not even Jewish. This is just a good vibe for me. Hey! Damn it. Anytime somebody brings up the Jews now, I'm just gonna play the Haga Nagila. That was fun. That was fun when he was going on his whole anti-Semitic conspiracy route. You guys know the dancing Israelis. You guys know the dancing Israelis. You guys know that, right? I'm sorry, but he expected me to take him seriously after he said the dancing Israelis. Like, fucking spare me, bro. Alright, we were originally talking about Todd Blanche and Drunk Patel.
The problem with you and your report, don't cut me off. You asked a question.
Don't cut me off. You better not be cutting me off. Oh, we got some witch hazel here. I love the witch hazel woods. They're pretty nice. They're pretty beautiful. I've propagated my a lot of my house in the ether with it. Just because it's such a pretty branch. Alright, anyways. Or such a pretty tree.
Question. The problem with you and your baseless reporting is that is an absolute lie. It was never said. It never happened. And I will serve in this administration as long as the president and the attorney general want me to do so. And every time you...
Oh, he's calling back. Here, one moment. Alright, we'll answer it.
Call from
Steve.
Oh, he hung up. Yeah, I wouldn't call back either. I personally wouldn't recommend that. I'm not going to take your anti-Semitic conspiracies serious at all, and I promise you I will continue to make fun of them. Hey, what's up, Carolina? Good to see you. Here we go again? Well, unfortunately not.
You guys report false lies.
Yeah, guys, I'm just gonna be honest. The best way I think to deal with conspiracy theories is to make fun of them. So, you know, if you've got high emotions, or even, you know, if you're not in touch with your feelings, I wouldn't recommend calling me and trying to perpetuate an anti-Semitic or just racist conspiracies. The dancing Israelis, ladies and gentlemen. You didn't know about the dancing Israelis? How dare you? Might I even say you're the anti-Semite? What time is it in the USA? It is currently 12:23. You're the anti-Semitic one for not going about, The issue with Israeli dancing thing is you can probably find any nationality where the peeps have anti-American views, even in America. Yeah, that's something else. It's like, yeah, I'm sure I could find somebody that in fucking Germany that's dancing that 9/11 happened. Doesn't mean much. Was Jim Crow a racist conspiracy? I would not say that was a racist conspiracy. And that, if I was fighting against Jim Crow laws, I would not be memeing as much as with the dancing Israeli theory. I would probably, you know, if Jim Crow was still active, I'd take that a lot more seriously. I'll be honest.
Every time you guys raise baseless questions, when we are here to talk about the Southern Poverty Law Center's $3 million decade-long scheme
Why don't they want to talk about what I want to talk about? I'm really gonna need to pop open a few brewskis for this one, says Cash. Poor guy. Poor man. I mean, just think, it must be hard being Kash Patel. It's hard being C Patel. Hard being me.
Fraudulently fleece Americans. You are off topic.
It's a simple, straightforward question. Did you talk to anybody about whether you thought
The simple answer to your question is you are lying, and every time
I like
you
this
do
dude who's
so,
talking to him.
I've answered your question. It's simply as follows. I was never locked out of my systems. Anybody who says it,
lawsuit says the opposite. Your lawsuit contains
anyone that says the opposite is lying.
The lawsuit
Thank you.
that you filed says that
Look,
directly.
man, stop. You're being extraordinarily rude. And I
You're
know maybe
being
that's
a
part of your
meanie.
profession,
Oh
but
no,
please
his
just
boss has to step in and say you're being a meanie. Talk about the Minnesota leering fraud? Well, yeah, sure, I'll talk about it. So there was a time in the early 2024s, 2023, that Big Dick Joe Biden and Tim Walz got together and busted some fraudsters. And now the right is upset about that, and they want their own fraudsters to bust, but unfortunately, they're not as good at finding fraud as Joe Biden and Tim Walz, so they're continually coping and seething, and that's what you see when people talk about Minnesota fraud.
stop. If you ask a question, he can answer it. And then, wait, now you're interrupting me. Like, just a little bit of respect, man. Just a tiny little bit. Try it sometime. Go ahead.
Earlier today, Senate Majority Leader
What
John
a big
Thune
crybaby.
once again was pleading for an end
An end to fraud, waste, and abuse.
To the Justice Department's investigation into Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. How do you respond to a direct request like this from someone in your own party?
I haven't received the request, formally yet. I mean, listen, this is an ongoing investigation, and that's something that we can't talk about aside from saying, yes, it's an ongoing investigation, and the senator knows that, and other senators know that as well, and we'll get through it, but it is an ongoing investigation, and we can't really talk about it, especially not in public, but
I did hear Biden has a massive hog. You're goddamn right.
But we'll try to address.
How do you think he fights all that fraud off? You think it's just as simple as, he don't lie about it like Trump. You gotta have a big hog to fight against all this fraud, waste, and abuse. God, how the fuck do Republicans get used to saying that all the time? Fraud, waste, and abuse. Waste, fraud, and abuse. That one comes off the tongue a little easier. I'll give it to them. That one's a little easier. Actually, it comes off the tongue well, as the kids say. All the kids say that, by the way, in case you were wondering. In case you need something to relate to the hip people. That is something they say. They also say, That Guy Doesn't Exist is the best YouTube channel, and you should subscribe to him. And this is something I very much agree with the youth about. You guys should totally consider liking and subscribing to the video. If you guys like political content like this every day, in the morning and in the evening, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, because it does help out the channel, get me boosted, and it makes me smile, okay? And don't you guys just want to make me smile? Isn't that something you want to do? That's something I think all of us should aim for. Making each other smile. So, if you want to make a big ol' smile appear on this face, don't forget to like and subscribe. Talk about the California UPS voter registration address? I've never heard of it. I've truly never heard of that. Is that like, Never Under Pressure? You have given it away, unfortunately. I know you're a liberal, okay? You're not tricking me. Okay, my lib detector is actually very good. Okay? I can tell if you're a rightoid or a leftoid or in the middle from a mile away. So, just warning you. Shout out to the originator, Mr. Mayhem. Don't know if he's still here, but we appreciate him. He was our original memer that pretended to be a Trump supporter. All right, go off, Todd.
Any senator, not just a senator from the Republican Party's concerns about that.
Director Patel, you said in an interview over this weekend regarding the election into whether the 2020 presidential election was stolen, you said that there were going to be arrests coming, and I promise you it's coming soon, hoping you could.
Well, that was for an audience of one. That was for an audience of one right there. For Donald Trump.
Sure. We have many ongoing investigations into large-scale conspiracies and...
Sounds serious. Large-scale conspiracies? Could they potentially be like Building 7?
Like we did today.
What is it with the 9/11 conspiracies? Why have they been so prevalent recently? Have you guys noticed that too? It's been like, I've been nonstop talking like just recently about 9/11 conspiracies, and usually that doesn't happen too frequently. So I don't know what's going on there.
I have an on-topic and off-topic. On the Southern Poverty Law Center, my understanding was from the video
like
that
Pizzagate? Oh yeah.
the group posted
Pizzagate.
today
Who could
that
forget
his
about
program
Pizzagate?
about paying the informants had ended. I wasn't clear about when that was. Do you have any information?
Whoa, it's almost like after Donald Trump got out of power, people stopped being
About
racist.
when this program stopped?
It's almost
paying
like there's a
informants
correlation there or something.
And
I
then
wonder.
if there's a statute of limitations issue there, I just wasn't sure how far back we're talking. And then I have another on topic.
So look, all I can tell you is the indictment alleges a very long period of time that includes up to 2023. So that's I can't speak beyond, when it, if anything has been happening since then, just what the grand jury found.
And then I also wanted to ask a follow-up on Joe DeGeneva. Looking back at, he's been very vocal over the years about his thoughts about the 2016 investigation, about the intelligence assessment. One quote that he said in an article in 2020 was, "There's no doubt John Brennan was the primogenitor of this entire counterintelligence investigation. It was John Brennan who went to James Comey and basically pummeled him into starting a counterintelligence investigation against Trump. Brennan's at the heart of this." Given those prior statements, isn't there possibly a conflict of interest, or at the very least a perceived conflict of interest, having him oversee this investigation? And has he been vetted for conflicts prior to being hired at the Justice Department?
I don't know. I'm not sure what the conflict of interest would be because somebody has said something in the past about a particular matter. That doesn't create a conflict necessarily. That's not what the conflict, conflicts are designed to, for just that. And I think
it creates a sense of bias, doesn't it? Like he's coming into the investigation with preconceived views about a target of your investigation. Isn't that a problem?
I mean, I just completely disagree with the premise. I mean, look, if you look at what happened during the president's investigations, there were prosecutors that were actively involved in the 2016 information with Barr and what AG Barr was doing. They readily joined the case, and one of them was actually stood up in court. So I don't think it's unusual, and it's not something that, sure, he has to make sure that he's doing everything ethically. I'm sure that he would. He has to make sure that everything he's doing is not in conflict with whatever rules, the rules that we have in this building. But the mere fact that he has spoken about his perception, he didn't have access to grand jury information. He didn't have access to witnesses, and so like any prosecutor, I expect that he will follow the facts, and those facts come from witnesses and grand jury information. All right,
And they don't care about your feelings. I'm fucking Todd Blanche, bitch. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to cover that today. We had a pretty decent call. I love those conspiracy nutters. I really do. I hope they keep coming and they don't stop coming. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be getting out of here, getting ready for our 6 p.m. stream. So, without further ado, guys, I hope you have an amazing day. Make sure to check back at 6 p.m. or we will be talking and debating Trump supporters. And until then, I hope you guys have an amazing day. Peace.
We're told we're not taking sides. I'm here to take sides. Mladic is a war criminal, the leader of the Bosnian Serbs. He is no better than Himmler. He is no better than Goebbels. He is a war criminal.
I was suggesting we bomb Belgrade.
What's so important about the Western Alliance? NATO for NATO's sake so we can beat our press? What I'm about to say is going to cause me great difficulty if I'm reelected and come back here as the ranking member or chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. There is no moral center in Europe.
I was suggesting that we send American pilots in and blow up all the bridges on the Drina.
When in the last 2 centuries have the French, or the British, or the Germans, the Belgians, the Italians?
I was suggesting we take out his oil supply.
moved in a way to unify that continent, to stand up to this kind of genocide. When have they done this?
I was suggesting very specific action.
The only reason anything is happening now is because the United States of America finally is understanding her role.
The 21st century is going to be the American century. Because we never bow, we never bend, we never break. We are America, second to none, and we